Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Tuscany Unconventional but Traditional. This is, of course, organized by the Italian National Tourism Board of US and Canada. I want to welcome all the participants today. We have, of course, the contingent from the United States and Canada. Thank you very much for being with us. But, of course, very happy to see also some friends from the South, Mexico, and Puerto Rico. Thank you very much as well for being here. So this is the second part of a five-part series webinars on Tuscany, and today again we'll talk about something again intriguing, such as the title is indicating right now, in unconventional but traditional. Now, before we get to the actual presentation, first I want to say 10 lucky guests will have a chance to be part of a cooking class in Tuscany, and we will give you more details after that. But just so you know, at the end of the presentation, we will be sending out a quick email with a couple of questions related to the webinar today, and the first 10 people answering with the correct answer will be receiving this gift. So the chance to actually learn and to cook Italian food in Tuscany through a cooking class. A small disclaimer, I am from Tuscany myself, so of course I love Italy as a whole, but more so my home, which is in Tuscany itself. So very excited to share with you more itineraries, more destinations in Italy, and specifically in Tuscany. And so I'm gonna start talking very soon, and just want to introduce to you the Promotion and Business Executive Toscana Promozione Turistica, Marta Iavarone, and of course also the owner of Locanda, l'Antica Porta di Levante, and Cibo e Vino Passaguai, Christian Borchi, which is our testimonial today. So Marta, this is an intriguing title. I mean, unconventional but traditional. So there's, I'm sure, a lot of questions from our attendee side. What does she mean? What it is? To me, it's like the description of a typical Tuscan guy, especially from Florence. We are all, in a sense, unconventional, but we are traditional because, you know, history is upon us. But I'm very curious to learn what it means, you know, the new destination. So take it away, Marta. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Francesco. The title is Unconventional. I mean, for unconventional itineraries you can plan in Tuscany, but traditional because of the food and the wine you can find during these itineraries are really very traditional, not very well known, and so something but very local. So with the local production, homemade production, and handmade production. So something unconventional because we are speaking about not very well known areas of Tuscany, but traditional because the food and the wine is local. So to explain better what I mean, I share with you this presentation. And one of our projects in Tuscany is Vetrina Toscana. Vetrina Toscana, Eat Like Local, is a project of Regione Toscana just to collect the best restaurants. For best, I don't mean the Michelin stars restaurants or luxury restaurants, but restaurants which are working on the traditional food, reviewing also the traditional food, but with local, we say, kilometer zero products and a very high quality products. So we are collecting these restaurants together with the groceries and the local producers of wine and food. So at the moment we this kind of association, so this list of restaurants and groceries and producers counts 1,000 restaurants, 320 specialty groceries where you can go to buy food and to eat something. So the famous panino or schiacciata, so it's possible, or just doing a tasting, and the 200 producers. So Vetrina Toscana, you can find all the information in www.vetrinatoscana.it. So I can go to the slide of itineraries. So food and wine are one of our most interesting and most important tourism products. And we have a lot of wine food or food tasting, cooking classic, dinner with the private chef. So you have a lot of different activities you can do in Tuscany about wine and food, not only the simple tasting, but also private concert in the wineries, for example. So the itineraries I'm going to present you are not very far away from Florence and Pisa. I took to Florence and Pisa at main cities because they are our airport hubs. So the international airports of Tuscany are in Florence and Pisa. So if you are going to land in Tuscany, and you can reach the areas I'm going to speak about in a few hours or a few minutes. Especially Tuscany is very close to Mugello. Mugello is the area here in the north between Florence and Bologna, just to give you an idea. You can reach in few hours Lunigiana. Lunigiana are where the Alps are, so it's a mountain, it's the land of the crystals, and beautiful areas and very wild, not very touristic at the moment, such as Mugello is not so touristic, even if it's very famous for the GP and for the golf courses, for example, such as arts and other activities you can do there. So, and then we are going to Prato, very close to Florence, so only 10 kilometers from Florence, so the Prato province. And we are going to the archipelago. Archipelago is a little bit far away from Pisa and Florence because it's not very far away in terms of kilometers, but you just have to take a ferry boat because they are 7 islands. And we are speaking about 2 particular islands, the biggest, Elba Islands and the Capraia Islands. Elba is more touristic than Capraia. Capraia is really very wild, as we are going to see. So in Lunigiana, for example, lardo di colonnata, colonnata lard. Colonnata lard is something, it's a lard, but not a common lard because it's made in marble cases, and it's very old, and we used to produce the lardo in these marble cases since the times of Michelangelo. And Fanti Scritti, the place where it's produced, it's a quarry. So it's a marble quarry, the same where Michelangelo went to choose his marble for the state he has going to make. So, and Lunigiana is also famous for the Colli di Luno Vermentino on the hills of before the mountains. So it's a very good matching with Lardo di Colonnata. Lardo di Colonnata is fantastic for the taste of, and it's melting in the mouth. So also very common in Tuscany to cook, not only to put on the bread and to eat. Mugello. Mugello is the area between Florence and Bologna, just to give you an idea. And it's full of hills and mountains. There are a lot of trekking and also biking path. And the Mugello is very famous in Tuscany. For us, we spend the Sunday after for the lunchtime. We are used from Florence to go on Sunday for the lunchtime with the families to go to eat tortelli mugellani. So Christian is going to explain you later what the tortelli mugellani are and how to prepare them. But what I can add is that in Mugello area is typical from a kind of wine which is not very famous all over. So the Tuscan production of Pinot Noir is not so famous, but the quality of our Mugello Pinot Noir is really very high. And in Mugello, there are some Pinot Noir producers which are really having a very fantastic wine. So, but this part, I leave Christian to explain this part about later, the Mugello cooking. The area of Prato. Prato is famous for fashion and textile companies, but Prato has, in the surrounding of Prato, you can find a lot of Medicean villas, and they have a very ancient culinary tradition. So Prato sweets, the peach, so the one you find here, the pictures, are sweets, are pastries full stuffed with vanilla cream and liqueur. Okay. So they are something I'm a very how can I say, I love them, so I go crazy for
very
them.
partial to it, yeah.
Yes, and they are not very, and it's difficult to find them. So it's not all are able to bake them in the right way. So not they are really unusual, unconventional. They are rare in few words. So, and the mortadella di Prato. Mortadella is very well known in Emilia Romagna, but we have our own mortadella made in Prato. It's a very ancient salami, because it was born in Middle Age, and there are some local producers. You can go inside, visit the production, and having a taste. So it's very nice. The hills around Prato, they are not only the Medicean villas, but they are full of wineries like Carmignano, and have their own blended and their own label, and very strong wine, a red strong wine. So it's perfect with mortadella. The archipelago. I finish with the archipelago. Archipelago are Tuscan archipelago are 7 islands. They are on the Tyrrhenian Sea, of course, and they are also a natural national park, a marine national park. So that means that also the islands area are protected areas. So the vineyard you can find in the islands are protected vineyards. And it's how can I say, and everything is has to respect the environment and the landscape. So these are it's beautiful to do trekking in the vineyard in Elba Islands, for example, because you can see how the park is working together with the farmers to respect each other. So the production and the national park, so the protocols of the national parks. So Elba is the third island of Italy after Sardinia and Sicily. Has a wonderful sea, but has also sweet wine, which its name is Aleatico of Elba, which is fantastic. And very used at the end of a meal when you relax and used together with the sweets we eat at the end of the meal. By the Aleatico wine, we also produce schiaccia briaca. Schiaccia briaca is a sort of cake used in Elba Islands. It was the cake of dried fruit made of flour, dried fruit, olive oil, and honey. And it's a little bit hard because it was the cake used for the mariners which were going to fish, and so he had to last days sometimes. So yeah. And Capraia Islands. Capraia is the wildest of one of the wildest islands of the archipelago, and is a goat farmhouse, which is going to which has goats, and they produce goat cheese, Mursa of Capraia. So you can easily understand that this cheese is not only organic, is very natural, because of the goat are free in the nature, and also doing trekking in Capraia. Capraia is very famous for diving and for trekking and for sailing. So going to just up on the hills of the islands and finding the goats. So this is a real fantastic experience.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect with the territory, like you just said, and specifically, I believe what you were saying, that the cheese itself, because like you say, those goats are roaming around this little island, by consequence, their milk and therefore their cheese have all the aroma of all the herbs that you can only find on this little island. So it really is one of a kind taste, I believe, just because the goats are not getting like standard sort of food, but they grab whatever is around, which means that the aroma and the flavor of the cheese is absolutely unique. And this, I think, kind of is the point of what you're pointing out of these beautiful experiences. They are strictly connected to the territory. And, you know, this is just a point that I want to make with the attendees, the effort and also looking for things that are so uniquely distinctive of the places that we are talking about, because it's attached to their tradition, because it's attached to their history. Lardo di Colonnata, I think we sort of will expand on it with Christian. It's a fascinating meal just because unusual in kind, but it's so ingrained, and it's just a natural what do you call it, expression of what it was available then and what it was needed for, and therefore they came up with this. And now, of course, centuries later, we talk about it in terms of like the culinary value, whatever. But really, what it represents, it's a piece of history that is transposed hundreds of years, and we get to witness nowadays thanks to people like Christian or people who are into the food world. So
yes.
that's really, really exciting.
Yes, it's exciting, Francesco, because Capraia Highlands has less than 500 inhabitants during the winter. So everything is open because they are, how can I say, in this island, wild islands with just one village. So it's something, if you are going to knocking at the door of a farmhouse, they can offer a piece of cheese and let you have a tasting. So it's another word in few words.
surprising. Yes, you're right. It's almost like going to a deserted island and having it almost all for yourself. And as you mentioned, the quality of this the beach experience, and people who saw the previous sort of presentation, they know more about it because we discussed the archipelago, like you said before. It really makes it a remarkable afternoon or day experience for people who go and visit Capraia and Elba.
I think we can present we don't have the archipelago inside, but we could present the video which summarize all of the experience and the itineraries.
Perfect. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Really, really good. Very, very good. Now, thank you, Marta. It's awesome. Just so I know, just so you remember from Tuscany that I haven't betrayed you guys. You see behind me, you might recognize it. This is the My Stati Duccio, which is actually one of the last photographs that you actually saw in that video. She's in Siena. And I'm not from Lunigiana. I'm more down south. But my wife, grandparents are from Pontremoli, so in Lunigiana. Look what I have here. This is frozen testaroli. Look at that. This is something the chef tells you what to do, but just so you know, if you go there, you can grab them. This is like a year old. Put it in the freezer, and then you defrost, and then you eat it. So I'm an original, as an OG, as they say in Brooklyn.
When you cook testaroli, how do you dress them?
That's my wife thing, but Christian, go ahead.
Okay.
No, testaroli is one of presidium from slow food, because how to make the real testaroli in the test is the cast iron. I can tell it's like a grill or pot, and cook with the chestnut wood is a real show, because you need a lot of time. And the farmer make the dough and put it all like a pancake inside and cook this. It was a way to save the flour and to have something. And it's very delicate. You cook in a soft boiled water just a few minutes, and the classic part is the pesto, because you are in the corner just supposed to Liguria, so is the it's a fusion cuisine because you have something from Tuscany, something from Liguria, and it's amazing.
So just this is just a disclaimer that I'm Tuscan, unfortunately, 100% for all the good and the bad. We all know what we're talking about. Being Tuscan is good. Sometimes it's not that good. You're not politically correct, whatever. We are controversial, but that's another story. Now, let's get to Christian. Christian, first and foremost, I see something wonderful behind you. So I'm very eager to pass you the word. Tell me where you are, what you do, why it's so awesome. Thank you very much. Take it away, Christian.
Okay, behind me is not the paint, but it's the windows on the hill, on the Apennino mountain. You see the hill and the Apennino mountain behind me. Is the borderline between Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna. Now here I'm in Bicchio in my restaurant. My restaurant is Locanda Antica Porte Levante. So I decided to open this restaurant 19 years ago. Before I graduated at Culinary Institute, I travel a lot to make experience. I work in France, I work in the United States, I work in Australia. But after my journey, I decided to come back and work in this land. It's my land. Here is where I start everything for me. I start to grow up with the food since I was very, very young because I grew up in a family of a grocery and vegetable store. So my parents work a lot, and fortunately, I spent a lot of time with my grandmothers, and she was my first teacher in the kitchen. She came from Bologna. Unfortunately, here during the World War II was the Gothic line. We have also the museum because it was the last defensive line for the German army, and a lot of people escaped on the mountain. My grandfather's uncle was a priest, so a lot of people try to escape to stay so close to the church, and that place was a place where my grandfather and my grandmother meet, and like this my grandmother moved from Bologna to Mugello, and this is the history. I started to learn from her how to make the fresh pasta dough, how to learn about the ingredients, about the fresh herbs, because the people during the time they learn how to use all the nature give to have a good meal. And fortunately, I feel very lucky to live in a place like this because we can have everything. Also because the culture, I tell you, teach us how to use perfectly everything during the different seasons. So every season is different and spectacular. So now as a spring, we start to have the peaches, we have cherries, we start to have the truffle. So 2 days ago, my truffle hunter gave me 280 grams black truffle balls, so start to be ripe. And and for us as usual, because since 10 years ago nobody know really the truffle, and you can drive up to the hill, and there is the farmers when they clean the forest, they find something, because the black one is grabbing not under the soil but almost on the surface, and you can buy for so nothing, so very cheap. Often we don't understand really how we are lucky, because we think everything is because it's available, but a lot of people come to understand our culture, our food. Here is a place in this town where was born Giotto. So what we tell often at the people, the paint and the wall before him, everything was flat, because
Exactly.
and it's nice. We have the Medici's families was born in this valley. We have a lot of casta since a long time. A lot of villas, Medician villas was the hunting house for the Medici. And I decided to come back here. Now, of course, I have my restaurant. I have 2 restaurants really, but I like to make the cooking class because 15 years ago, a lot of people start to ask me. When I goes out in the dining room, the people ask me not the secret, but something about the food, about the plate, about the ingredients. And I was so surprised when I tell the history behind the ingredients, behind the cuisine. The people still to ask more and more and more. So like this, we have an idea with some other people here to develop the project for the cooking class. But it's not a simple cooking class during 2 hours, but to give all the experience like our lifestyle. So when you come with me to make a classes, we start in the morning. We stop in a square bar. We take a coffee. Maybe you speak with some other people and that's where you come from. After we go to make shopping, or in a store, or in a farm. And after we decide what we do during the class. So of course, maybe you decide for the fresh pasta, but the seasoning often depends what we find on the market. So, and this is a real experience. It's a real experience, and I think this is our secret. I think our area is a real B-side of Tuscany because it's not so famous like Chianti or the other area, and it's very similar than the other valley Marta show us in the video, because Lunigiana and Garfagnana, we have a very big connection because the culture is very similar. The chestnut trees, the potatoes, was poor place for a long time, but still to be real. So this is our secret, and the experience will be and is real. When you come, the people in some place there is just 3 families since 100 years, so, and they know everything, or all the stone and the wall, or all the corner, or maybe the trees was planted from the grandfather or something like this. So as this is what we try to explain to the people when they come. And also we have a lot of activities. We are so close to Florence because we are 30 minutes from Florence. We are connecting by the train. So the last 3 years, a lot of people decide to come to stay in Mugello and move to Florence, and not the opposite like in the past. So I think this will be a very good opportunity also for the tourists, because I think also it's the cheaper area because not discover, more quiet. And when you decide to go in Florence, and 30 minutes by the train, you are in Santa Maria Novella, so in downtown in Florence.
And then, as we were saying before, when we were doing the rehearsals, also the fact that just if you have to sort of describe the countryside, like I said before, again, Tuscany enjoys a lot of press coverage. So immediately when you think of Tuscany, the countryside, you associate to sort of like, Sienese sort of hill that's kind of like with no vegetation through here, through there. What we see here, and if you don't mind, if you get up and just like showing us better through the windows so they have a better view of if you can, yes, it's incredible. As you can see, the vegetation is far more luscious. We are getting closer, if not on the Apennine, which means that we're much more elevated. The grass, so it's a very different scenario, and I think it's the advantages on top of all the one that Christian already pointed out. It shouldn't be sort of left on the side. Also, that if you are planning to go in the summer months, it's also a place where the heat is not as oppressive as sometimes you feel when you are in some of the valley, close to Florence, for example, even Siena for that matter, where there's the heat is a little bit more. So I'm not surprised that some people have decided to make a base in Mugello, because it's a great place to come back after a long day of going around and just really have a quiet time in a place that is not overrun by tourists. And the question I have for you, you mentioned Vicchio. It's again a village that not many people know about it, but if you have to sort of describe it, is that how does it look like? It's like a typical medieval village. It's what would I expect when I walk into Vicchio?
The core of the village is like a medieval village. Unfortunately, the tower and the door, we have just one tower because the German army, when they retired in the World War II, they destroy everything to revenge. But the center of the town, so we have the ancient wall. It's very nice because now we have the capers flowers. A lot of people, they don't know it's capers really, like a lot of flower around a lot of monuments in Italy. And we have in the main square with the church square, we have a Giotto sculpture, because Giotto, of course, is the most popular man in the town. Yeah. And it's very small. It's up to the hill, and there is, of course, the modern part of the town is down to the hill, but it's very not big built, not commercial center, nothing like this. So there is the vegetable store, there is a grocery store, 2 bakery, there is 2 restaurants, 2 bar. What else? Not more.
And then in your restaurant. So talking about your restaurant,
okay,
here it's pretty much lunchtime, or almost a little bit over lunchtime. So we want us really to put in our misery, and so talk about, if you can, like a quick overview of sort of what some of the few typical dishes of your area, and what we would expect within your place, for example.
Okay. Fortunately, in my area, almost all the restaurants, we have a good food. It's not a touristic food, so this is a good point for the start. My restaurant, I tell you, we opened 19 years ago. In February 2001, we have a 20th birthday of this restaurant. And before us, the other owners stay here 50 years. So this restaurant is open since a long time. We have a 7-room over the restaurant because was the place, was Locanda di Cambio, was the place when before the car, the people changed the horses. So it's just in front of the gate of the town. My restaurant changed the menu. I follow the season, so I change the menu every month. So every month I have a different dishes. What you can find always in the valley is tortelli. What speak Marta before is tortelli is shape of ravioli, because for us ravioli we mean with ricotta cheese and spinach or herbs. It depends the season. Tortelli is the same shape, is the same size. You saw maybe one picture in the video, but it's maybe in the next. And it's filling with potatoes. Every family have a different version. Every family think to make the best one, but you can find everywhere. And it's very simple because it's a fresh pasta ravioli filling with potatoes. Before the potatoes in this area, they use the chestnut, was the other fruit we used to fill in this. It's very versatile plate because potatoes is it's versatile. So usually it's for the Sunday lunch, like for the Sunday journey and lunch, we serve with the meat sauce. It's very typical because it's rich for the Sunday, but you can pair with everything. So last month we have the fresh asparagus from the hill. You can pair with this. Now we start to have the fresh porcini mushroom because still to be rain. So you can see the snow. The cloud is start to be cloud is stopped to rain 1 hour ago, and hot. So it's a good season for the mushroom with truffle, but simple also with oil and cheese, or what do you like? Also simple like this. So this is the flag of the valley. If you move all across the valley, you can find tortelli mugellani everywhere. Change the side because on the north side of the valley they make smaller. If you go on the south, they make more bigger and more spicy. Also depends what they find, because in the north part of the valley they have a lot of cow milk, and they put a little bit of ricotta with potatoes to make more delicate. And the south we had some more herbs and more garlic and a little bit of nutmeg. But I tell you, every family have a different recipe, different version of recipe. So this is
and I was gonna say, so I interrupt you, because we discussed again once again in the rehearsal the slow food movement. It looks like this is the poster child of what the slow food movement represents, and sometimes it's interesting to me because some of those things that now are codified in the slow food movement or eating at kilometer zero are things like most of the people like, so what? That's what we have been doing all our lives. So it really doesn't. But it's good that we actually it has become something of a statement, similar to what Marta was saying before about the effort of Credi la Vetrina, also where you actually almost certify that those vendors and those restaurants are really sort of somehow respecting those ideas that what you serve and what you prepare, it comes almost around the corner of your restaurant. So tell me more about that. So how the slow food movement sort of pair with Mugello and what
I think I have a connection also with Vetrina because the idea is almost the same. So slow food, of course, is a big movement. Now it's international movement with a lot of people. And for us, it's a little bit strange also like Vetrina, because what we decide to do with this is what we do every day. But often we don't care about this, because for us, have a good tomatoes local or something like a good cheese with a raw milk. For us, is what usually we have. But we start to need to understand, for a lot of people, is something very, very difficult, different, and very, very amazing to taste, because of course we grow up with these ingredients, so it's the first, our palates know this flavor, but for a lot of people, some people come from very far from this, and especially when was born slow food in 1980 almost, they start to understand in some area when the industry start to move and the agriculture start to be an industry, we start to lose a lot of biodiversity, because slow food preserve a lot of biodiversity. We have huge quantity of shape of olives, huge quantity of tomatoes. But unfortunately, especially in the West economy, in the West commercial center, you find just 2 different shape of tomatoes. In my vegetable garden now I have 8, because especially in the past we have the tomatoes start the first now, the harvest, and the last in October. So we have always the fresh tomatoes, and not like the hydroponic tomatoes grow up in the water, looks perfect, round and red, no flavor, but no flavor. And a lot of people is surprised when taste in the cooking class in the restaurant, some simple plate with 4 ingredients, the flavor, because the flavor is real, because we don't need to put more and more. So like Chanel says, so less is more, no? So if you have the good ingredients, less is more. So oil, tomatoes, good pasta with a good wheat is enough. No secret for us. So it's just what our parents and grandparents did for so as respect. And the respect for the farmer, because for a long time the farmers looks like a bad job, but the farmers, especially in the small area like this, is the people save all the lands. Because if you have the problem when the river flowed or something like this, it's because often the agriculture is just in the industry, and sometimes they use the field just to take something, and after they left, and after 2 years give the problem. So the real farmer in this area, they clean the road, they clean the river, they make everything looks like a garden, but not just for the tourists, but because the land
that's very important, a sense of ownership of your history, of the place around you. I think it makes the whole difference, because it really becomes sort of an extension of who you are, who you represent in your history. Now, I believe we have a short video that shows a little bit, you know, what you were discussing in terms of an experience where people come and visit you and be part of your cooking class. If you don't mind, I would like to show it so people can see it, and then we can comment afterwards.
I could stay like this, forever following you. Just don't get too far, and I'll be right where you are. You're a dream that I could finally see. I just want us to always be, to always be.
I don't hear.
Francesco, we don't hear you.
That's what my wife did. She just mute me, because that's what she likes to do. But anyway, sorry. Now I was saying that basically that shows that you know, if they come and visit you, they have a chance to actually, they can be escorted around finding some of those ingredients like truffle, and then sort of spend an afternoon with you and you in the cooking. Is that right?
Yes, this is right. There is different options depend the period of the year. So now that video we made last year in this period, and it's nice because also they have the specific apple the girl taking out is cotonia. It's one of the apple usually used to take the pectina for to make the jam and and there is the opportunity. I tell you, we have the plan always when we make the classes, but it depends what we find during the trip to find the truffle, and then we build the class all the time. So
exactly. Rolling what you know. Exactly. The conditions. Exactly.
Yes, it depends. The fresh herbs you saw in my hands, and one of the shoulder is the white herbs you can find. So it depends, because now we have nipitella, so the mentuccia romana, you can make a paste, different pesto, you can make a lot. This is the experience you can find here. And during the same time, there is a lot of people, they just enjoy the quiet. So maybe you can go to find the truffle, and some people, especially during the winter's time when there is a white truffle, so the best truffle we can have. Some people, like part of the family, often maybe can say just to hit some chestnut roast on the fireplace, and the other people go make a class. So we have the opportunity to give a different experience at the moment for all the different parts of the family. And the winter time, I love also the winter and the autumn time because it's very rich, especially for the foodie people. The other, I don't want to forget the knives they use for the classes. Here we have one of the ancient handmade knife factory. Scarperia was famous since the mid-age from this, and we to have now I think it's just six small factory with 2 or 6 people work and still to make the homemade knives I use for the classes I used to cooking, and it's another tradition we have. So, and this is the same, also the same Bollage where we have the circuit, because we have also, of course, we don't stop the Mugello in the mid-age, but we have also something more. That we have the motor race, circuit. We have the Heart, we have museum, we have the Liberty trip, because we have Kino Kini was the teacher of Clint. So and
there you go.
The houses and Clint come here to learn from him. And there is the museum, and there is a lot of villas of Aria Borgo San Lorenzo still to have the Liberty opportunity to something Liberty to see with the ceramic. We have the ceramic school, so a lot to do. So
it's a lot. Okay, but I mean, if I have to say, then I'll pass to a different part of the presentation just to test the attention of our attendees. But I have to say that it's really like you were saying before. The bottom line, it's an extraordinary place, so close to place that our attendees already know and sell very well. So as usual, the idea is for us not to reinvent the wheel, to sort of tell you, okay, you have been selling all the very popular, successful itineraries. Now forget about those, move something else. Mugello, for example, fits right in with what you already been doing and offer you great alternatives, or great, not improvement, addition to the experience that your customers, that your client has been doing so far, and in that sense, sort of offer them a new sort of way to experience Tuscany as a whole, and giving them more information. Now, having said that, as I said, I want to test if our attendees are indeed following what we're saying. So I have there's two very simple questions that if you've been listening even a little bit, you should be able to answer very easily. And this is just to test if you're following us. So let's launch the first question. Now, as you can see here, let me see. All right. So the first poll, it says very simply, what kind of ingredient, what is the ingredient of the tortelli mugellani? Okay, is the of course mushrooms, is that potatoes, is that beef? Now, I believe we went through this a little bit, and of course, for what even Christian has been talking about it. I mean, it should be a sort of toss-up, which it actually is. There's a toss-up between two answers right now. So I have about 45% of you who have voted. I'm going to give you another few seconds to answer, and it'll be interesting to see if indeed you were following what Christian was talking about it. And once again, this is just telling about a place that is sort of doing, their recipe according to what it is that is available. So I'm going to close the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Stop the poll. I'm going to share the results and see what our guest thinks of the results. As you can see, 28% saw mushrooms. All right, that could be a suggestion for the new, or 68% potatoes, which of course is the correct answer. And it's good, at least almost 70% that they were actually following, or at least remember. So that's good. Now let's go to the second one, which it's about lardo di colonnata, and I'll share with you right now and see, okay, how is the colonnata art aged? You know, where is it aged? How is it aged? Very simple question. Is in a marble case and a wooden case, this should be easy. Some of you is getting it wrong, so that's also very interesting. But you know, once the poll is closed, I want to discuss a little bit with Christian about the Lardo Colonnata, because I think it's one of those items that it's very how should I say, historically correct, and also very unusual in what it is and what it represented, and it tells a lot about, you know, why it exists, and to me encompass a lot about what it means, you know, this having this sort of culinary tradition or gastronomy tradition, if I may. So I'm gonna stop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. About 70% of you had answered, so I close it, I share it, and okay, 77% got it right. The marble case, 23, it's a wooden case, which will make it a little bit of a different thing. So, Christian, if I may, let's spend 2 words about Lardo di Colonnata. I tell you what my experience was, and then you tell me what you think. So, I was saying before, even to Marta, when we were doing the rehearsal, that Lardo di Colonnata is the sort of this incredible thing that has. It would kill most of the people right now, just because the high intensity calorie right now, if it was something we eat every day, it would be difficult to really metabolize the whole thing, just because it wasn't meant for what we do today. But as I was saying with Marta, it's interesting because it was created in a place where it was the best possible option for what it was needed. And what really was the main meal, if I'm not mistaken, of the people that were working in the cave, the marble cave, which in Carrara or up on the Alta Apuane, where, as you know, an intense day can burn up to 5,000-6,000 calories. So they needed to have a shot of something that was going to replenish those energy. Money was a problem, and also the availability to something that could cost little money and have somewhat of a taste, but had a lot of calories. And of course, fat, we all know, especially back then, it was not, you know, you were not eating it as a steak. So that's how it started. And of course, having readily available marble, 1 + 1 is equal to, so where am I gonna put it? I have so much marble around. And at the end, you get this amazing thing. And I would like Christian to just give an insight to what it really is. I mean, because looking from outside, some people can even think it's disgusting because it's just a piece of fat with some pepper on top, but it's actually very different. Can you tell us a little bit what is to actually eat marble di colonnata, what it really, you know, is the experience of trying something like this?
It's true what you tell. So a lot of people is disgusting and scared to taste the lard because it's pure meat at the start, and but it's totally different because it's made in a cave, and if you have the opportunity, go to visit the cave of the marble, because it's something like a dome inside the mountain, and the temperature inside is always almost 14 degrees, with the humidity is perfect, so no bacteria, nothing else. And the marble take age like in a salt and water solution, because the fat lose the juice, the water from the meat, and take all the flavor very, very slowly, and make this meat, this part of fat, very, very, very tasty, and still to be white, because also they are smart. The people understand this way to make the lard, because at this temperature and at this humidity, the fat never be rancid, so they can stay for a long time. And when you cut it, looks like a butter, because if you have the hot hands, it's melting in your hands, but you put in your mouth, it's melt in your mouth. So you don't need to give a bite, but you need just to let. Often we serve on the roast bread, and you can see the lard, because it looks like something like oil on top, because immediately when the lard is sliced very, very thin on the hot bread, smelt immediately with the temperature, because it looks like a butter sometimes, but with the Tuscany white herbs, because you feel the rosemary, you feel the genepi, you feel the sage, and all the different white herbs come from the bush, from the Mediterranean bush. You have because also the Alpi Apuane, the place where they make lard, It's unbelievable because you have the seaside and you goes up in 2 kilometers, you up at 1,000 meters. So as the climate give the big help to do this, and it's something unbelievable. So often when the people are scared, I toast the bread, I slice the lard on top. I don't tell the people it's lard, and if I don't tell you, you don't know it's lard, and you tell me the people has more because it's very very tasty. So as this is, and it has what shape of oil or something which is the seasoning on the bread. And when I tell it's lard, some people don't believe me.
Get it.
Simply.
Okay, perfect. So now that we are sort of going towards the end of the webinars, of course, now it's time to sort of open up to some of the questions from our attendees. Again, that we have several questions, a lot of them. And once again, I'll try my best to read most of it, if not all of them, but I'm sure that I will not be able to go through all of them. Yeah, this is a smart question. So we talked about, how Mugello could be a place, like you just mentioned, where you can actually make a base to visit, the regions, to visit Florence or all of the places. Of course, there's always somewhat difficult conversation on the accommodation. Bear in mind, Christian, you have been traveling, so you know what I'm talking about. It isn't just if there are hotels. Of course, there are hotels, but because the attendees that we have cater to certain type of tourists, the question is, do you find sort of that kind of sort of charming, sort of nice, accommodations that can sort of meet the demand of, let's say, an American tourist in Mugello?
We have some different opportunity because especially at the start, Mugello was, we have a lot of German and Swiss tourists. And so we have something very, very casual, like agriturismo. Now we start to have a lot of charming houses. We have the golf course also have a big hotel inside. So you have just in the middle of one of the best. Also, I think last year was the best golf course of Italy because it's unbelievable place also this. We start to have a lot of villas. Also, we have all the opportunity. 5-star hotel deluxe. We have 4 stars, and the high quality. They have the transfer for the train station from the airport. So now we start to have the infrastructure to help all the different kind. The airport from the highway is 30 minutes, so it's very very close. Of course, like all the countryside, one of the better way is rent a car, but you can left the car not to move to Florence, but just to move in a quiet area like Mugello. And maybe if you decide to move to Florence, you left your car in the train station because everything here is safe, and move to Florence with the train after. And you have the train maybe in the morning, and then the night you come back to stay in a quiet place, especially in the hot summer. Here we have always 4 or 5 Celsius degrees less than Florence, so you feel the breeze. You open the windows. You don't need the air conditioning often, or maybe you need something to cover you because it's cold, especially in the high part of the valley. So
yeah. I have a few questions now directly about your classes, things a little bit more technical that you might want to answer separately. If, for example, the classes are commissionable to travel agents, and what the cost, and also how large of a group can you actually host on those classes?
Okay, it's the best. We have some different level. I make something in my restaurant, and I make some other classes in another place. I make one specific in Villa Campestre, is the first olive oil resort. It's a resort where we have a lot of American tourists right now. It's a 4-star, so we have a lot of facilities, and this is like for a hobby. So it's for the people who come just to enjoy these classes. It usually is the class during 2 hours. And we have some different items. So we have the fresh pasta. We have something just pick up from the vegetable garden. I have the vegetable garden in some place where we decide how to cook together with the guest. And they can call me. We make something also. And the big class in this area should be between 6 to 8 people, or the person for 1 people to eat. And some other place I work also with Castello di Trebbio. They have 2 different cooking class program. There is a casta, so you have two big class. We can make a class for 20 people. Often come also from the cruises. The experience is quite different because, of course, the time is short, but you have the wine tasting because they make the wine. I can give all the opportunity. We are open for everything. The class I prefer, of course, is a small group because like this you feel more the real taste of the class. And often when I arrive the request, I build the class about the request of the people. Of course, for the different diet, a lot of people have the problem with the gluten. People have problem with something else. So eggless, vegetarian. So no problem for us. We don't have the classes just closed, but we try to hear all the requests of the people. Of course, we need to know in advance, but it's easier. And we have some different opportunity. The villas or the farm. Sometimes we make something like a bread in the old farm, maybe with the traditional oven. We have the farmer museum where we have the traditional oven where the people can see how to make the wheat, the flour, and after they use the same flour to make the bread. So the opportunity is huge.
Got it. And now I have the last question because I don't want to take too much of your time and the attendees, which is actually interesting. I haven't thought about it. You know, we talk about this could go either to Christian, to Marta, whoever wants to answer, of all the different experience outside of the realm of the big cities. But for, let's say, aging tourists and people who have limited mobility, they're not, you know, young and spry, and just they can walk for hours and hours. Are this still something that you would suggest that this is still something that they would be able to enjoy in terms of getting around and not feeling overwhelmed by the fact that they cannot walk sort of steep hill or long trail?
Okay, here we have the same. We have a lot of opportunity because you have different rig with the different level. So you can like climb or you can walk just around the lake. So everything is flat with the parking so close. So you can arrive by the car. If you decide to walk 10 minutes, you can walk 10 minutes and stop. There is some walking like in the town, like the Liberty walking or something like this. So you can start with 30 minutes and whatever you want. So mountain and small.
All over Tuscany, we have different levels. So from families and not trained persons, people, to the one for very trained people and how can I say, sport people. So it's you can choose between among a very wide range of levels and also paths and also activities. There is something for each one.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
This concludes our webinar. Thank you very much for your time. Of course, thank you, Marta. Thank you, Christian. Enjoy your beautiful view. Enjoy your beautiful headphone. Marta, thank you very much. And of
Thank
course,
you.
of course, yeah, here we go. Robin. So before I let everybody go, attendees, please, you will receive a survey. Give us your feedback on today's presentation. If you want to change something, if you want more information, let us know. And on top of that, you will also receive, there's a couple of questions today webinars. The first 10 that will answer correctly, they will have a chance to meet Christian in the flesh and learn something about cooking. Last but not least, I want to thank all my colleagues, of course, from the Toronto office, Salvatore and Sabrina, from our Los Angeles office, Fabrizio and Emanuela, and of course, from New York office, Caterina, Cosmo, and Mazzi. Thank you very much. I'll see you the next one. Bye.
Ciao, arrivederci.
Ciao.
Ciao.